Let's talk facts. This is not a coincidence. Indian CEOs are taking over the global stage, and here's why. Discipline, grit, humility. These leaders grew up navigating chaos, scarcity, pressure, and they turned it into fuel. They didn't wait for perfect. They built from nothing. They know how to lead through uncertainty, how to adapt fast, and how to outwork anyone in the room. It's not luck. It's resilience, relentless curiosity, and cultural intelligence. That's what the boardrooms of the future demand, and they're already delivering. Resilience born from adversity is not just a trait, it's a foundational mindset deeply ingrained in many Indian professionals who have risen to the top of global corporate ladders. When we talk about resilience, we're not talking about just bouncing back from failure. We're talking about enduring daily constraints, navigating broken systems, and still finding a way to show up, push through, and win. For many Indian leaders, the journey to success didn't begin in a climate of abundance or comfort. It began in households where electricity wasn't always guaranteed, where competition in education was fierce, and where the margin for error was non-existent. That kind of environment doesn't just test you, it shapes you. Growing up in a country as diverse, chaotic, and competitive as India means developing an early tolerance for pressure. You learn to thrive amid noise, literal and metaphorical. You study in classrooms with 50 other kids, you hustle your way through limited resources, and you make excellence your only option. This resilience isn't just physical or academic. It becomes psychological. It's the ability to focus despite distractions, to persist when others fold, and to innovate when systems break down. Indian CEOs didn't grow up expecting comfort. They grew up expecting challenge. And that mindset becomes an asset in the unpredictable world of global business. Resilience also means being able to take hits, rejection, failure, slow progress, and keep moving. In India's hyper-competitive academic system, not everyone gets into the top colleges. Not everyone lands the dream job right away. But the culture rewards persistence. It praises the ones who keep trying, who don't give up, who outwork and outlast the rest. That persistence turns into a survival tool. It's not flashy, it's not always recognized immediately, but it builds leaders who know how to play the long game. These CEOs also understand the value of patience under pressure. Growing up in environments where bureaucracy slows everything down, where systems are often inefficient, they develop a kind of quiet endurance. They know how to wait, how to navigate delay, and how to stay focused on the outcome even when the process feels frustrating. This teaches adaptability. It teaches emotional regulation. You can't be a high-level leader if you panic when things don't go your way. Indian leaders have already spent years practicing calm in chaos. And let's not overlook another angle, scarcity. Scarcity doesn't just teach you to survive, it forces you to become resourceful. When you don't have access to every tool, every opportunity, every connection, you get creative. You optimize. You innovate within limits. And when those leaders step into global companies that do have resources, they move faster, smarter, leaner. They know what to do when conditions aren't ideal because that's what they're used to. While others may wait for perfect conditions, these leaders make progress in the storm. The resilience born in India also teaches empathy. When you've seen struggle, when you've lived it, you lead differently. You listen more. You understand the pain points of your team. You don't dismiss concerns. You know what it feels like to not be heard, to not have access, to not feel seen. And that builds trust in leadership. Empathetic leaders don't just manage, they inspire. They bring people with them. And resilience doesn't just come from hardship. It comes from identity. In India, you grow up with layers of language, religion, class, and regional diversity all around you. You learn to adjust, to communicate across divides, to understand perspectives very different from your own. This social agility builds confidence. It prepares you for global teams. It teaches you to be a connector. In a global economy that's increasingly cross-cultural, that's a superpower. Indian CEOs didn't rise to the top despite the adversity. They rose because of it. Resilience wasn't an option. It was necessary for survival. And that necessity built endurance, adaptability, and mental toughness that now translates into sharp, strategic leadership on the world stage. High emphasis on education is one of the most defining factors behind the rise of Indian CEOs on the global stage. In India, Education is not just a path to a better future. It's often viewed as the only path. For millions of families across the country, academic achievement represents hope, stability, and upward mobility. It's a deeply cultural value passed down through generations. Parents sacrifice everything to ensure their children have access to quality education, even if it means financial strain, personal compromise, or relocation. In this environment, learning becomes more than a requirement. It becomes a way of life. From an early age, children in India are immersed in an intensely competitive academic atmosphere. There is a strong cultural narrative around merit, and the expectation to perform is high. Standardized tests, national entrance exams, and rankings are deeply embedded in the system. For students, this means developing discipline, focus, and a relentless drive to excel, skills that later translate seamlessly into the business world. The sheer volume of effort required to succeed in this system builds endurance and work ethic. These are not soft traits. They're the raw ingredients of leadership. The Indian education system, for all its flaws, is remarkably effective at producing technically sound professionals. Mathematics, science, and engineering are prioritized subjects, and students are pushed toward mastering analytical and logical reasoning skills. This early training often forms the backbone of Indian professionals' success in fields like technology, finance, and operations. Many of today's Indian CEOs come from engineering or technical backgrounds, not because they stumbled into it, but because they were trained to think critically, solve complex problems, and simplify chaos into systems. Moreover, many Indian professionals don't stop at one degree. There's a strong cultural norm of continuing education, whether it's earning advanced degrees from prestigious Indian institutions like the Indian Institutes of Technology, IITs, or Indian Institutes of Management, IIMs, or pursuing MBAs from global powerhouses like Harvard, Stanford, or Wharton. The pursuit of education remains continuous. This dedication to learning doesn't just increase qualifications. It builds intellectual curiosity and mental agility. These leaders are not just smart. They are structured thinkers who know how to adapt and evolve. English fluency is another product of India's education system that plays a critical role in global leadership. As a former British colony, India retained English as a key language of instruction, especially in higher education and corporate settings. This gives Indian professionals a significant edge in the international business arena. They can communicate clearly, negotiate effectively, and operate confidently in global boardrooms. But it's not just about language. It's about the ability to think, write, and lead in English with precision and clarity, which is invaluable in multinational environments. There's also an emphasis on academic humility in Indian culture. Even as children are taught to aim for excellence, they're also trained to respect learning itself, not just the outcome. This respect for knowledge, for expertise, and for lifelong growth often results in leaders who are not arrogant but grounded. They continue learning, listening, and evolving even at the top. They read, they study, they seek mentors. This attitude gives them a long-term advantage, especially in industries that move fast and punish complacency. The education journey in India is also often communal. Children grow up studying in groups, relying on peer learning, and helping each other succeed. This fosters a collaborative mindset. Unlike systems where hyper-individualism is the norm, the Indian educational path encourages cooperation alongside competition. This balance becomes a leadership trait. Indian CEOs often know how to lead with both ambition and inclusion. They're competitive, but they also know how to build consensus, how to bring a team together, and how to lift others as they rise. Technology and innovation have also played a role in reshaping Indian education in recent decades. Access to online learning, coding boot camps, open-source platforms, and global educational content has exploded. Young Indian professionals can now learn directly from MIT, Stanford, or Google, regardless of geography. This democratization of knowledge has only increased the hunger to learn and the capacity to compete globally. Ambition is no longer limited by geography. It's fueled by access and grit. High academic pressure also teaches time management, prioritization, and emotional resilience. Juggling hours of study, extracurricular activities, competitive exams, and social expectations forces students to develop habits that are critical for executive roles. They learn how to show up under pressure, how to prepare meticulously, and how to execute consistently. These skills don't fade. They strengthen over time and reappear in boardrooms, negotiations, and global decision-making rooms. At its core, the high emphasis on education in India isn't just about building resumes. It's about building mental toughness, intellectual depth, and a sense of relentless forward momentum. A global mindset with cultural adaptability is a critical factor that has propelled Indian professionals into top CEO roles around the world. Growing up in India means navigating a society that is inherently diverse. The country is a mosaic of languages, religions, traditions, and social dynamics, all coexisting within close proximity. This exposure from an early age builds a kind of social intelligence that is rare and highly valuable in the global corporate landscape. Individuals learn to respect different perspectives, operate in varied cultural contexts, and manage conflicting viewpoints without losing focus or composure. These are not just soft skills, they are foundational traits that define effective global leadership. In multinational companies, cultural sensitivity isn't optional, it's essential. Leaders who can read the room, adapt their communication, and lead diverse teams effectively are in high demand. Indian leaders often come equipped with this ability as second nature. They've spent their lives code-switching between languages, behaviors, and expectations depending on context. This flexibility allows them to thrive in varied environments, whether they're managing teams in Silicon Valley, negotiating with clients in Europe, or expanding operations in Southeast Asia. Their adaptability becomes a leadership superpower, enabling them to connect with stakeholders from different backgrounds without alienating or misunderstanding them. Another powerful dimension of the global mindset is the willingness to relocate and start over. Many Indian professionals pursue education or career opportunities outside their home country, often in unfamiliar cultures. They move to the US, the UK, Australia, Germany, Singapore, and beyond, not with guaranteed support, but with the confidence to rebuild, reprove, and reassert their value in new contexts. This experience of starting from scratch in a different land, adjusting to a new system, and rising again builds resilience and perspective. It also creates a truly global way of thinking, where decisions aren't based solely on one market or one model, but on what's best for the business in a global sense. Being multilingual is another key asset. Many Indian leaders grow up speaking multiple languages, regional, national, and international. This multilingualism isn't just about vocabulary, it's about being able to switch cognitive frameworks. It trains the brain to think from different angles, to process complex information fluidly, and to relate to a wide range of people. These skills carry over into leadership roles where flexibility, empathy, and fast decision-making are critical. A multilingual leader often listens better, thinks more broadly, and leads with greater emotional intelligence. There is also a strategic advantage that comes from being raised in an emerging market like India. Exposure to both scarcity and scale teaches a different kind of problem solving. Indian professionals learn to think frugally, act creatively, and scale efficiently. When they step into global roles, they bring that blend of innovation and practicality. They understand how to balance cost with growth, how to optimize operations in complex markets, and how to lead across multiple time zones and cultures. Their global mindset is not theoretical. It's built on real-world experience in complex, layered environments. Working in India also often means working across hierarchies and power dynamics. It's common to interact with people from vastly different socioeconomic and educational backgrounds on a daily basis. This builds an acute sense of situational awareness. Leaders develop a strong instinct for reading between the lines, navigating politics, and managing stakeholder interests delicately. These are highly transferable skills in corporate leadership, where aligning diverse interests is part of the job. Another key contributor to the global mindset is the role of family and community in shaping ambition. In many Indian households, success is not seen as an individual victory, but as something that uplifts the entire family. This sense of collective progress instills humility, responsibility, and a long-term view. It shapes leaders who don't just think about quarterly results, but who also consider sustainability, legacy, and broader impact. When such individuals enter the global corporate world, they lead with a sense of stewardship rather than entitlement. The rise of technology and remote work has further accelerated this global adaptability. Indian professionals are often early adopters of digital tools, collaboration platforms, and cross-border communication strategies. They are used to working in global time zones, managing remote teams, and delivering results across continents. This digital fluency, combined with cultural agility, positions them as natural leaders in a world where business is no longer bound by geography. Having a global mindset also means being open to feedback, learning from global best practices, and staying curious about new ideas. Indian CEOs often display an impressive balance between traditional wisdom and modern thinking. They are deeply rooted in their values but are not limited by them. They read widely, observe trends, and integrate insights from different markets to make better decisions. This open-mindedness helps them build agile, future-ready companies that can pivot and evolve as the world changes. Strong work ethic and discipline are deeply embedded in the journey of Indian professionals who rise to lead some of the world's most powerful organizations. These qualities are not occasional traits, but everyday habits forged over years of relentless effort. In India, success doesn't come easy. From early education through career growth, the competition is fierce and unrelenting. Students study long hours to secure limited seats in top colleges, professionals work extended days to meet global demands, and many juggle multiple responsibilities just to stay ahead. This environment creates a culture where discipline isn't optional. It's required for survival. The value of hard work is instilled early in life. Children grow up watching their parents work tirelessly, often sacrificing their own comforts to ensure a better future for their family. That example becomes the blueprint, waking up early, maximizing time, focusing on long-term goals over short-term distractions. These are habits cultivated from childhood. The daily discipline of studying under pressure, navigating limited resources, and striving to outperform in exams builds mental toughness and an unshakable work ethic that carries forward into every stage of life. These individuals don't wait for motivation. They rely on consistency. Discipline is also seen in the way Indian professionals structure their growth. Whether it's acquiring new skills, preparing for interviews, or balancing education and part-time work, there is a deep sense of commitment to self-improvement. They set goals, create routines, and stick to them. It's not just about working hard, it's about working smart with unwavering focus. This dedication to process makes them highly dependable in the corporate world. When deadlines loom and stakes are high, companies know they can count on leaders who've already trained themselves to deliver under pressure without excuses. Many of these CEOs started their careers in demanding roles where long hours, complex tasks, and constant pressure were the norm. They didn't complain, they adapted. They understood early that excellence is not an act but a habit. They developed the discipline to master details, take responsibility for mistakes, and improve continuously. This builds trust in their leadership. Colleagues and teams follow people who consistently show up, put in the work, and lead by example. It's not about flashy charisma. It's about showing up every single day with the same intensity and integrity. In the Indian work culture, there is also a respect for hierarchy and accountability. Employees learn to meet expectations without needing constant supervision. They are taught to be responsible for outcomes and to uphold their commitments, no matter the challenges. This breeds leaders who take ownership, who don't make excuses, and who are prepared to do the hard, unglamorous work when no one is watching. That kind of leader is rare, and in a global environment full of distractions and quick fixes, it's incredibly valuable. Many Indian leaders also come from modest backgrounds where the margin for error was small. Every opportunity was hard-earned. They learned to value time, to protect their focus, and to work twice as hard to prove themselves. This scarcity-driven discipline turns into a long-term advantage. They don't take success for granted. They remain grounded, hungry, and humble, even after reaching the top. That mindset fuels sustainable leadership because it's built on solid foundations, not shortcuts or privilege. In today's corporate world, where mental endurance is as important as talent, a strong work ethic becomes a competitive edge. It means pushing through fatigue, staying calm under pressure, and not backing down when results are slow. Indian CEOs often bring that level of commitment to every role they take. They know how to show up on time, how to outlearn competitors, and how to maintain performance over years, not weeks. It's a form of quiet leadership that earns respect because it's consistent, not performative. Discipline also shows up in how these leaders manage their personal growth. They are often avid readers, structured thinkers, and deliberate decision makers. They prioritize planning, stay organized, and follow through on goals with precision. Even in the chaos of high-level leadership, they maintain systems that keep them focused. They don't rely on motivation alone, they rely on habits. This internal discipline creates external stability, which is exactly what companies look for when placing someone at the helm of a global enterprise. Their work ethic is not driven by fear, it's driven by vision. These leaders don't just work hard for a paycheck. They work hard to create impact, build legacy, and set new standards. They're often the first in their family or community to achieve such heights, and they carry that responsibility with seriousness. Their drive is fueled by purpose. That alignment of personal discipline with professional vision creates a force that is difficult to compete with. Excellence in STEM and technology is one of the most powerful drivers behind the rise of Indian CEOs on the global stage. For decades, India has produced an extraordinary number of engineers, computer scientists, and technical experts who have gone on to shape the world's most innovative industries. This is not a coincidence. It is the result of a national culture that prioritizes technical education, logical reasoning, and problem-solving from a very young age. In India, parents often guide their children toward careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, not just because of job security, but because these fields are seen as paths to global relevance and intellectual mastery. From early schooling, students are immersed in math-heavy curricula that challenge their thinking and push them to develop analytical skills. The Indian school system, with its rigorous focus on mathematics and science, creates a strong foundation in logic, numerical fluency, and technical comprehension. For many students, getting into an elite engineering college like the Indian Institutes of Technology (IITs) requires years of intense preparation, often beginning in middle school. This academic rigor fosters deep intellectual discipline, time management, and advanced reasoning, all of which are crucial in the world of STEM and corporate innovation. When these students transition into universities, they are exposed to cutting-edge concepts in computer science, software engineering, electronics, and data analysis. They are trained not just to understand existing systems, but to improve them. This mindset of optimization and innovation becomes central to how they approach business problems later in life. Whether it's streamlining operations, designing scalable systems, or introducing new technologies to solve legacy issues, Indian professionals often bring a methodical, technically grounded approach to leadership roles. One key factor that sets Indian STEM professionals apart is their comfort with complexity. They are not intimidated by systems with many moving parts. In fact, they are often drawn to them. The education and early work environments they experience encourage precision, accountability, and systematic problem solving. They learn to diagnose technical problems quickly, break them into manageable steps, and implement solutions with discipline. These skills are highly transferable to leadership, especially in technology-driven industries where CEOs need to understand what's happening under the hood of their business. Another powerful advantage is the integration of technical knowledge with global business exposure. Many Indian professionals begin their careers as software engineers or analysts before transitioning into management. This technical foundation gives them a unique edge when they step into executive roles. They understand how digital infrastructure works, how platforms are built, and how technological decisions affect customer experience and operational efficiency. They can communicate with product teams, evaluate engineering trade-offs, and lead innovation with confidence and clarity. In a digital-first business landscape, that blend of business acumen and technical fluency is extremely rare and extremely valuable. India's booming IT sector has also played a huge role in building this pipeline of tech-savvy leaders. Companies like Infosys, TCS, Wipro, and HCL have trained millions of engineers in large-scale, complex projects for global clients. Many of these professionals moved abroad, worked in multinational environments, and gained experience managing remote teams, meeting international standards, and solving high-impact problems under pressure. This exposure created a generation of leaders who are not only excellent in technology, but are also deeply familiar with global operations, client expectations, and cross-cultural collaboration. The rise of the Indian diaspora in Silicon Valley and other tech hubs around the world has further reinforced this trend. Many Indian-origin professionals went on to lead some of the world's biggest technology companies, not just because of their skills, but because of their ability to think at scale, move fast, and innovate responsibly. These leaders often come with years of experience at companies like Google, Microsoft, IBM, and Amazon, where they learned how to lead teams, execute vision, and build culture. Their technical expertise was not a separate skill. It was central to their leadership style. India's deep investment in STEM education also created a self-reinforcing ecosystem of mentorship, inspiration, and ambition. Young professionals grow up seeing successful role models in tech. Engineers who became entrepreneurs, coders who became CTOs, and scientists who became CEOs. This creates a powerful feedback loop where excellence is normalized and technical ambition is encouraged. Students don't just aspire to get jobs. They aspire to innovate, to disrupt, to lead industries that shape the future. The national conversation around education and opportunity centers around technology as a gateway to influence and change. Even beyond formal education, there is a widespread culture of upskilling in India's tech community. Online learning, coding boot camps, global certifications, and peer-led communities have allowed Indian professionals to continuously adapt and grow. They stay ahead of the curve by learning new languages, tools, and frameworks. This hunger to improve, combined with strong foundational knowledge, turns them into agile thinkers who can pivot quickly in fast-changing industries. Leadership through humility is a quality that distinguishes many Indian CEOs leading global companies today. In a world that often equates leadership with dominance, charisma, or loud self-promotion, these individuals bring a different approach, one that is grounded in listening, service, and quiet confidence. This humility doesn't come from weakness, it comes from strength. It's forged through years of working in high-pressure environments where success is earned through results, not titles, and where collaboration matters more than control. These leaders don't walk into the room needing to be the smartest person. They walk in ready to learn, to understand, and to elevate the people around them. Indian culture places a high value on respect, modesty, and honoring others, especially elders and authority figures. These cultural values shape the leadership style of many Indian professionals from a young age. They are taught not to seek attention for every accomplishment, but to focus on consistent effort and responsibility. As they grow into leadership roles, they bring that same mindset, leading by example, staying grounded, and letting their results speak. They don't micromanage or operate from ego. They empower teams, ask questions, and give credit where it's due. This creates an environment of trust, which is vital for innovation and long-term success. The journey many Indian CEOs take is also one of gradual, steady progress. They often rise through the ranks, proving themselves at every level, sometimes in multiple countries and across different business units. This path teaches humility by default. They've been the entry-level employee, the team member, the middle manager. They've handled difficult clients, worked under tough bosses, and learned from failure. They understand what it means to be on the ground before they ever reach the top. That lived experience gives them empathy and perspective. They don't lead from above, they lead from within. Humility also allows these leaders to build strong, diverse teams. They're not threatened by people who are smarter, more experienced, or more specialized in certain areas. Instead, they welcome them. They listen carefully to ideas from all levels of the organization. They value feedback. They see leadership not as a solo performance, but as a team sport. This approach fosters psychological safety, which is essential for creative problem-solving and rapid innovation. People feel safe taking risks, voicing concerns, and contributing fully when they know their leader isn't driven by ego, but by purpose. In a fast-moving global economy, humility becomes a strategic advantage. It means being open to change, willing to adapt, and unafraid to admit when something isn't working. Indian CEOs often demonstrate a level of self-awareness that allows them to pivot quickly and make better decisions. They don't cling to being right. They focus on getting it right. That distinction is powerful in leadership. It's what allows companies to evolve, stay ahead of disruption, and build cultures that thrive through uncertainty. These leaders also tend to show restraint in their communication. They choose their words carefully. They listen more than they speak, and they engage in dialogue rather than monologue. This thoughtful communication style builds credibility. Stakeholders trust leaders who are steady, composed, and reflective. Investors feel reassured. Employees feel heard, and partners feel respected. It's not about making noise, it's about making impact through clarity, honesty, and consistent action. Their humility also shows in how they handle success. Many Indian CEOs deflect personal praise and instead spotlight their team or organization. They don't inflate their importance. They elevate the mission. This builds a sense of collective ownership within their companies. People feel proud to contribute because their work is recognized and valued. It's not about the leader taking credit, it's about the company achieving something meaningful together. Another dimension of humility is long-term thinking. Humble leaders are not driven by the need for immediate validation. They're patient. They invest in culture, people, and systems that may not yield overnight results but will create sustainable growth. They don't chase headlines. They focus on building value over time. This focus on legacy over vanity translates into companies that endure, innovate, and maintain relevance in competitive markets. Leadership through humility also includes a commitment to personal growth. These leaders are constantly learning, not because they have to, but because they want to be better. They read, reflect, seek mentorship, and remain open to new perspectives. They don't assume they've arrived. They believe there's always more to discover, more to refine, and more to contribute. That mindset sets the tone for the entire organization. When the leader stays hungry and humble, it inspires others to do the same. It creates a ripple effect of curiosity, integrity, and accountability across every level of the company. Strategic problem-solving skills are one of the core reasons Indian CEOs are leading some of the most powerful and complex organizations in the world today. These leaders don't just react to problems, they anticipate them, dissect them, and resolve them with precision. This ability is not developed overnight. It comes from a lifetime of navigating challenges in high-pressure environments where innovation isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Growing up in a country where systems are often overburdened or inefficient, many Indian professionals are trained from a young age to think critically, adapt quickly, and engineer practical solutions with limited resources. In Indian education and work environments, competition is fierce, expectations are high, and ambiguity is part of daily life. Students are taught not only to memorize, but to apply logic and reasoning. From preparing for entrance exams like IITG or UPSC to solving engineering problems or case studies, problem solving is embedded in every layer of their development. This academic rigor trains the mind to approach every situation analytically. It becomes second nature to break down problems, identify root causes, and find multiple pathways to resolution. These habits carry forward into their leadership roles, where solving complex problems becomes part of their identity. In many cases, these leaders rise through the ranks by distinguishing themselves not just through effort, but through smart, strategic thinking. They become known for their ability to turn around struggling divisions, navigate crises, and drive transformation. Strategic problem solving is about more than just intelligence. It requires patience, planning, and pattern recognition. Indian CEOs are trained to look at problems holistically. They zoom out to understand the broader context and then zoom in to deal with specific details. This dual lens, macro and micro, is what allows them to make high-impact decisions that others might miss. A key strength in their problem-solving ability is their comfort with ambiguity. Many of them have worked in environments where instructions weren't always clear, where rules were evolving, and where success required improvisation. They learn to make decisions with imperfect information and take calculated risks. This gives them an edge in global markets, where uncertainty is constant. They don't freeze when things don't go as planned. They pivot, recalibrate, and move forward. This adaptability under pressure is a defining trait of strategic leaders in today's volatile business landscape. Indian professionals also learn to balance short-term fixes with long-term vision. In their early careers, they are often given multiple priorities and limited timelines, forcing them to triage problems efficiently. They learn to make fast decisions without sacrificing quality. As they rise into executive roles, they apply the same mindset to larger, more complex challenges, managing financial trade-offs, technological investments, and organizational redesigns. They know how to structure problems into manageable components and align solutions with business goals. This structured thinking is what turns chaos into strategy. These leaders often rely on data, but they don't get paralyzed by it. They use data as a guide, not a crutch. They blend quantitative insights with intuition and experience. This balance between hard logic and human understanding makes their decisions both effective and empathetic. They know that a good solution is not only technically correct, it also has to be implementable, accepted by stakeholders, and aligned with the company's values. That's where strategic thinking meets leadership maturity. Cultural exposure also plays a big role in their problem-solving approach. Growing up in a diverse country like India means being surrounded by different languages, belief systems, and ways of thinking. This diversity trains leaders to view problems from multiple perspectives. It teaches them that there's rarely one correct answer, that different solutions can work depending on the context. This mindset becomes incredibly useful when leading global teams or operating across international markets. They are able to connect dots across functions, geographies, and cultures, which leads to more holistic and inclusive strategies. Many Indian CEOs also have a background in consulting, technology, or operations, fields where structured problem-solving is a core requirement. In consulting, for instance, they learn how to define problems clearly, test hypotheses, and develop scalable solutions. In tech, they learn how to debug systems, optimize performance, and scale innovation. In operations, they learn how to improve efficiency, reduce costs, and manage risk. These experiences build a toolkit that allows them to address problems from multiple angles, using proven frameworks while still being creative when the situation demands it. Another important aspect of their strategic thinking is their ability to communicate solutions clearly. Problem-solving is not just about finding answers. It's about aligning others around those answers. Indian leaders often have the ability to simplify complexity, explain decisions with clarity, and bring teams along with their vision. They don't just solve the problem, they build consensus, mobilize resources, and drive execution. This ability to combine thinking and doing makes them especially effective in dynamic business environments.